Good morning, everybody, or almost afternoon, as is the case. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're enjoying the display on the table today. This is what I'm calling my Ninjor starter pack. Now, if you'd like to upgrade to the Storm Shadow pack, that's an additional $49.95. Storm Shadow V2 with the hand claw will be $109.95 additional upgrade. No, but kidding though. This is just funny because, Scott Knudsen sent me these hilarious nunchucks that have retroblasting engraved into the handles. And then, my Shokasugi Ninjato, which Melinda got me a few birthdays ago. And I've started, an archery hobby. And so I just picked up, after, getting familiar with compound bows, I picked up my first compound bow today, took it home. So it's very Ninjor Storm Shadow version 2. So I thought, well, I'll just put all these together on the table as kind of changing it up a little bit for today. But yeah, Scott, thank you so much for these nunchucks. They're awesome. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit this morning. I don't want to get heavy with any of this because none of it really is heavy. We've been very fortunate that our community, and I always mean, when I say community, I don't mean retroblasting as a cloister. I mean the toy collector community on social media that we have built across different toy channels like Analog and 2 Cents and Toy Polloi and all of those that we frequent. And then, of course, across blogs and podcasts that a lot of you guys are involved in. All of that content is important. But what's more important is that we're all supporting one another and we're all in this together, in this thing called life. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened this week. A lot of stuff that a lot of people are trying to weigh in on and throw in their 2 cents. Not here, because like I said, this community has been very self-sustaining and supportive. What I'm referring to are the Joe Randos. And again, we've already been through most of the suck. So I really do have an upbeat attitude going forward from where we are. But I wanted to point a few things out. And they have to do with general stuff. We're not about to get down into the weeds about specific things that happened this week. If you've been paying attention out there, you've seen some of the stuff. There's been some crazy blowback from some people who just don't know when to leave well enough alone. A lot of cognitive dissonance I've been seeing. A lot of hypocrisy. A lot of people who don't understand the difference between dishonesty and a disagreement. And that's very, very key. But what I wanted to talk about, specific to all that, but a very focused part of this. A lot of you guys out there may have suggested this kind of stuff in the past, not just to me, but to other content creators. For a lot of you, it might be your tactic in life. And you might think it's really good advice. Those of you who've been around a few years at Retroblasting know that I completely disagree with the tactic of dealing with negative trolls and comments to a certain magnitude by doing nothing. The advice that they love to give is let it go and ignore it, and it'll go away. And I've always maintained that doesn't work once you're at a certain level on social media. Now, I've tried to explain to people who don't have YouTube channels and who aren't part of this stuff that their advice doesn't work. They don't seem to see it that way. A lot of people are stuck in the 80s. And I'll explain to you what I mean. In the analog world, before the internet, let's say you went to the grocery store and you were at the grocery store and you were just doing your shopping and somebody just decides to get angry with you. Maybe they feel you cut them in line at the register. Maybe they feel you grabbed the last flavor of ice cream they wanted, but you've never met this person before and they start giving you lip. Well, in all of those domestic situations, the advice has always been to anybody who, has parents who have a brain and give you good advice is in a public scenario like that, you don't escalate the situation. You try to de-escalate or not increase the conflict further. You do what you need to do to get out of that situation, and you go back to your home and you never see that person again. Now, that's good advice for somebody living in a medium to large city or town. In small town, societies, it works a little different, but not by much. But that was 40 years ago. And that's also not taking into account that the internet and social media is a totally different place. Now, I've been peppered for years by people thinking that they mean well, saying, Michael, I just saw what's going on, and I just really think you need to let it go, and, just ignore it and it'll go away. Like, you shouldn't be feeding these trolls. You really shouldn't be feeding them. Let me say this one more time, because it's something that I've seen people say to Tony this week, and he doesn't need to hear that right now. He needs support, not from you guys, but I've just been seeing it. And then I have an example to bring up that just happened this week to prove my point, okay? And it involves something happening to me, all right? This is no longer the analog world. This is social media. And the moment somebody on any portal has your YouTube channel name or your handle on Twitter or your handle on Facebook, they will never be apart from you at that point. If they have a beef with you, that person that just almost got into an altercation with you at the, quote, grocery store, they're still connected to you if they want to be, to keep being angry with you. They can still keep coming at you over and over and over. And they don't have to stop. That's the thing. And that's what I've tried to get across to people for years and years, is that they don't stop. The internet has given them the ability to not stop. And if you let it just fester out there, I've always said, if I do nothing at my level, this is just going to get worse. So, the beginning of the week, all right? Beginning of the week, all this stuff with that junk man starts, all right? And I told him, look, you do what you want to. I told him this. I said, look, man, you do whatever you want. I'm done. I said, I don't want to associate with your channel anymore, period. Well, I actively decided and told somebody who messaged me saying, Junkman is immediate. It was almost immediate. It was like, Junkman is going after you on Twitter and Facebook hard now. And the guy said, what are you going to do? And he wasn't being mean to me. The guy was just asking. He was a good friend. One of many that I'm blessed to have since I've started this channel. And I said, I'm not going to do anything. I said, people are always telling me not to do anything. And in this case, the guy hasn't accused me of a crime, like Dannaby or Repro Cops. And I'm like, so I'm just going to let him blow off his steam. If he makes some funny pictures about me like he was doing and, is running off at the mouth, then whatever. I'll just let it go. I said, people want me to let it go anyway. They're always mad at me when I engage these people, so I'm just going to let this one go. Because like I've told you guys, for every one I engage, there's 50 you never see. I do have some restraint, shocking to say. So I let it go. All week I let it go. Didn't say a word anywhere, like on retroblasting channels. Not here on Patreon, not like after I outlined the original conflict, last Monday or whatever it was here on the morning message, I didn't do anything. Not on the Twitter, not on the Facebook, not on the Instagram, not here. I just didn't talk about it. It couldn't have been more cosmically perfect a scenario in such a negative way, because I let it go. I ignored him. I didn't let it affect me. It's what these people always want you to do. And what happened? Well, he got chummy with a guy from 4chan. We all know what a great place 4chan is, right? And Junkman is he's not a very critical thinker. He's admitted to me multiple times when he's forming his opinions that he doesn't watch the videos in question, whether they're from me or somebody else explaining the situation. He didn't watch the Repro Cops video and formed opinions that had no basis in reality. He formed opinions about the Repro Cops video without having any basis or context because he didn't watch it, did not watch it. He did the same thing on the internet I saw with Tony's video. He did not watch it, did not, or it wasn't Tony's video. Maybe it was Lio Convoys or something. It was a video I saw people had gotten him to admit he did not watch that video and got his opinions about Lio Convoy and myself from other people who'd watched the video. He was listening to other people who had watched the video, so he got the gist. But what he didn't know is that he was getting all of his opinions from a literal crazy person on 4chan. He wasn't himself on 4chan. He didn't vet the person on Twitter who was giving him the information. So then, of course, Junkman goes out and accuses Lio Convoy of being a child molester, which is insane. And then he also happens to show a picture of Bobby Vala as part of the post because he also thought that Bobby Vala was Lio Convoy, which is doubly oof. Like it was bad. Because this guy who's on 4chan, who's nuts, is now Junkman's ally against us. So he's tripled down on the accusations against Lio Convoy. And he's been posting screenshots that he's been given by the 4chan guy of his own posts about myself. So one of the ones, of course, is this person hates retroblasting, and this person hates retroblasting, and Pixel Dan hates retroblasting. The guy's literally just off his rocker, and he's just trying to reputation assassinate. But my point is that that's the result of doing nothing. If I had engaged Junkman, because everybody's like, ignore them, block them, let it go, it'll go away. It doesn't go away on the internet. It isn't 1985 anymore. You don't go home and never see that person again. You have to do something when you're at my level. And that's not a brag. That's a burden. All right? So I don't want to get too far into the details anymore, not because there's anything to hide, but because there's just nothing left to say, and I don't want to sound like I'm just going back over the same stuff. But there is this idea that well, you might, because I told some people, I said, you're victim shaming. So I was with Tony, it was, you're beating up the guy that revealed the lie. You're not beating up the guy that lied. There's a lot of people who are very self-absorbed about this stuff, and they just want everything copacetic for their own convenience. And I had a guy yesterday tell me that he was, quote, tired of all this shit, and he just wanted all of us to shut up and just keep making videos that he liked and stop attacking one another. And I was like, I haven't made any videos attacking anybody about any of this. I've just been making my stuff. There's this myth that retroblasting attacks other YouTube channels constantly. Go find the videos, really. They're not there. It's like the person who's convinced they saw the big scenes in 1977 when they went to see Star Wars. They didn't, but they're convinced they did. And you can point them all day to the fact that all week, in this case, Junkman has been posting attack tweets and stuff about us. It's not the other way around, and people don't listen. But I told this one guy, I said, this is victim shaming is what you're doing with Tony. And you're confusing disagreement with dishonesty. This is not a disagreement. This is about dishonesty and lying to 60,000 subscribers on YouTube. He's, of course, decided this is the hill he's going to die on, and he's even admitted that Michael Mercy's never even spoken to him. And he's been a subscriber of Retroblasting even longer. But again, the way that I would equate it is this is the word picture, okay? So just go with me on this, all right? First, I took you to an 80s grocery store. Now I'm going to take you to another one. If you've ever gotten the inclination, and this guy is one example of many I've dealt with over the last 72 hours. They come out of the woodwork wanting to throw in their 2 cents because they're more enlightened than everybody else, but they've never actually been involved in something of this excuse me. They've never been involved in something of this magnitude, and they don't really, people like, I've been doxxed before, and it's like, being doxxed is harassment. It's not being accused of a crime. All right? So like right now, Lyo's being accused of crimes, very serious crimes, by a guy who doesn't have 2 brain cells to rub together. But it's still a dangerous game to play. A lot of people can be hurt by that kind of stuff. And that's why it should be taken seriously and not do nothing. You don't do nothing when something like that happens. And if you're the type of person who believes that even in your own personal life you should do nothing, imagine what that person's like when a friend is hurting. That guy is not really a friend. That guy will be the first guy to be like, well, I don't want to get involved. And that's a pretty shitty friend. I mean, that's pretty bad. Call it what you want, but the person that's always like, I got to look after me and mine all the time, that isn't someone I'm going to choose for my zombie apocalypse squad or the guy who's going to have my back in the foxhole. You're just not going to be on that list. And in these domestic issues where a friend's reputation is being trashed over to protect somebody who the evidence is out there that they lied, that's terrible. And in the case of Lyo, it's the same thing. But let me just give you this picture, because if you've ever been in this situation where you've been the person trying to throw in your 2 cents, this is what it feels like, looks like. These are the optics of this scenario, okay? Let's say that myself and some other content creator or person who's accused me of a crime or something like that out in the public space. And I'll hold that for 1 second, because here's the deal. What a troll does is they set you up into a conundrum. They accuse you of something, right? If you don't do anything, you're hiding, and it's an admission of guilt in the troll's eyes. And in troll politics, in the game of the troll, if you do and say nothing, you're guilty. All right? You're hiding. You're running from it. If you do anything, if you reply, respond, fight back, if you do anything that isn't nothing, you didn't take the high ground and you're not being the bigger person. And you should ignore it and let it go, and look how petty you're being. The trolls aren't going to let you win. So if you do nothing and you just let them keep talking to all these gullible people without saying anything, the damage gets exponentially worse. You do something, you're going to get criticized. You're going to get criticized either way. So you might as well do something, because if you do nothing, it's just good. But you can stop the unnecessary bleeding by doing something, right? In the case of Michael Mercy, he hasn't apologized. He's formally admitted he's not going to do anything, and he's letting the appropriate people handle it. And even though he's not getting trolled, right? He's taking the high ground, but he's actually not helping himself because the facts are the facts, and he's going to keep getting hurt by this. The guy has already lost 500 subscribers, and I don't even know how many patrons, because the truth is pretty stark and it's pretty irrevocable. This is dishonesty. It's not a disagreement. This is not a matter of opinion. All right? So by him doing nothing, it is hurting him in the long run. Doing nothing, right, on the internet. Now let's add the actively trolled part of it. Doing nothing, they say you're guilty. Doing something, they say you should have taken the high ground. All right? So that's why I curb stomp all the trolls at a certain point, because it's like, I had a guy come at me yesterday and about this whole thing. Why do you always attack other channels? I don't, but I don't start fights. I finish them. And I told the guy, it was in my Facebook chat. He was like sending me a Facebook message request, but he wasn't my friend. And he was just like, I like your channel, but why are you always starting fights with people? And I'm like, you're clearly getting all your information from one side of this conflict. And I'm like, I haven't attacked any channels at all this week, ever at all. You've got channels attacking me saying that I attack channels, which is funny. And I said, so here's the deal, man. If you're not going to open up your mind and get educated on the entire incident that you're really not a part of at all, then you need to stay out of it. You need to recuse yourself since you're not involved. And I said, you need to stay out of it if you're not willing to educate yourself. And I backed off the keyboard and I waited. And sure enough, that little icon started. You know, the one on Facebook that shows the person is now typing a response? And I was immediately like, I see that you're typing a response. You really should think about this and consider if you're going to send what you're about to send before you hit the button. You really need to think about this before you hit send. Think about what you're saying. And suddenly that icon stopped. So now let's go back to the word picture, okay? Let's say that I get into a conflict as a YouTube channel, or it's related to my YouTube channel, with somebody out there, all right, who is another channel, a blogger, a Twitter user with a lot of followers who's really obnoxious, whatever it is. But I'm the face of retroblasting in this conflict, and they're the face of whatever. And let's pretend that instead of it being online, let's pretend that it's a big grassy field in a medieval world, all right? It's a big grassy field with rolling hills, and we're in the dip between two big grassy hills that go on for, hundreds of yards in either direction, all right? And we're at the lowest point in the middle of these things. I'm coming to my point here. You're like, why is he setting this up? I promise you, I'm coming to my point. And we decide that, this conflict has escalated to the point where we're going to have it out in a sword fight, all right? We're just going to Ninja Gaiden this thing. We're just going to, have it out. Slap them with the glove and the swords come out. And it's like, you've offended me, sir, or whatever, however you want to visualize it. Whatever sword, whatever era, it's a sword fight, all right? This is where it's gone to. And so we're fighting it out, just fighting it out down there in the bottom of this big, vast, grassy, emerald green valley of hills, rolling hills. Pretend it's the Highlands of Scotland or something. I don't know. And then way off in the distance, somebody is walking along the top of the crest of the hill off to my right. Way off. Like, you can only make out that it's a human being and they're just walking. Maybe they got a walking stick, or something. And they're not involved in this at all. They're hundreds of yards away. There's no danger to them. There's no way that they could even be held party to this. They're not responsible. They're not involved in this at all. They're not a part of it. And they're walking along. And they see way down there, they see me and this other person fighting with these swords, just fighting. And this person has made themselves, the person I'm fighting has brought themselves to a point where I have no other choice but to fight this person. And this dude up here, who's way out of the way, just stops walking, turns, and starts yelling into the wind. Because, there's a lot of wind at different elevations when you're on a grassy plain. There's a lot of wind, so they got to yell over the volume of the wind. And they're like, "Hey, you shouldn't be fighting! Hey, you should be bigger than this! Hey!" They have no context for what's going on. They're not involved. But boy, they've stopped what they're doing to just start judging and shaming one of the parties involved in the conflict. They have no real idea why the other person and I are fighting. They just want to get their opinion out there. They don't want to get involved. They don't actually want to invest any time in it. But they don't want to keep walking either. That's what it looks like, and that's literally what it is. When somebody who this isn't affecting, because this sword fight, it's not affecting that guy. That guy can just keep hiking. He's got no stake in any of this. He can just keep going. He can choose to assist if he wants to, or come down closer or whatever. I wouldn't advise it. If you're a person that's not getting invested in this, if you're not part of the group of people that showed support by coming to this thing and being like, "We got your back, Michael," or "We got your back, Joe Rando 42 on the other side." If you're not part of that entourage and you're just showing up like, "Hey, the toasty," like if you're doing that, you don't need to be involved. Like, keep walking, hero. Don't even turn around. And that's what I'm trying to get at with this stuff, is there's a lot of people who are just walking by hundreds of yards away on the internet now because it's no longer the analog world, and they just want to stop and be like, "Hey, I don't like you fighting! Who the hell are you? I don't care what you think. I have to destroy this guy." They love to talk about how it looks. "Well, I just think this looks bad for you." Trust me, it also looks bad for you. When you do that, it looks bad for you too. You look like a sanctimonious asshole. Especially somebody when you're not involved. An uninvolved, sanctimonious ass trying to tell other people how to solve a problem that they don't even know what the problem is. And then you could say, well, why is it being played out in a public space? Well, it's being played out in a public space for me most of the time because somebody else brings it out in the public space. All the stuff I've told you about, the most recent one, which is from the people that Junkman are talking to. Maybe you've heard this one, maybe you haven't. The Junkman contingent has decided to run with Michael is a homophobe. That's what you get when you just let things lie. If you take that advice, ignore it. Be the bigger person. Don't get involved. It'll go away. Then suddenly, 4chaners have got their ear, and now I'm a homophobe teamed up with a child molester. How's that doing nothing working for you? Huh? It's good, right? Doing nothing's great. Doing nothing is a great plan. But again, you have to remind yourself that the people that believe in doing nothing, that's why nobody knows, anything about them. That's why, because they're probably not doing much in their own lives either. But it's also why after 9 years, in a few days, as of tomorrow, I think it will be 9 years on YouTube. I've always maintained my instincts for no, this is not the same place that it was in 85. This is not Kroger's in 1985. This is the internet, social media. It's a different game and it's a different world. Those of us who understand it, meaning all of you here in Patreon and a good number of people who are just on YouTube as commenters, a good number of us who understand it, we understand the need to, play things differently than we did when our parents were our age. But a lot of people still don't get it, and a lot of people actively don't get it. They're the trolls that put you in the conundrum. And then there's the people like the guy on the hill who just think they're being more enlightened, but they're not. They have no clue what's going on, meaning how to handle it. I don't even mean the details of the thing. They have no clue how to properly handle a situation like this when you run a social media channel. They have no idea what they're doing. But they're the type of people that just have to voice their opinion like it matters. And frankly, if this situation isn't affecting you and you're not showing the affected party any support or giving them the benefit of the doubt, then your opinion really does mean less than zero. It just does. And the best thing for you to do, since you're Mr. Neutral that's not taking sides, I love that. The person that says out loud, that bothers to say out loud, I'm not going to take sides. If you truly were neutral, if you truly didn't want to take sides, you'd have never opened your mouth. I can respect quiet neutrality because that person's not getting involved and complicating things further. That person's not getting in the way. But the person that has to do the toasty and jump in the way and be like, I'm not taking sides, and then run off again, you're less than worthless. You're just trying to get attention. That right there is trying to get attention. The guy yelling from the grass, hey, I don't like what you're doing down there. He's making a fight that isn't his all about him. Hey, you guys, this is just you guys trying to get attention. What are you trying to do? I'm trying to stay alive down here. What are you doing? It's hilarious. That's why I'm laughing and being cavalier right now, because I'm laughing and cavalier about this stuff. Oh yeah, years ago I used to, not understand what world I was in exactly. Some of my instincts were right on the money as to how to handle it, but the emotions that I had about it were still evolving. Because you get calloused to it, you kind of start to understand how to handle it. And now I do, meaning emotionally. I understand emotionally and psychologically how to handle this stuff now. But people that have no clue, yeah, don't tell me you're neutral and not taking sides, because that tells me exactly that you're not. If you're neutral and not taking sides, totally fine. Don't get involved. Because if you're saying, I don't want to get involved, that means you want to get involved. You're inserting yourself into it. You've just broken your own rule. Stay out of it if you don't want to be in it. Because the moment you insert yourself, you're involved. And if you're involved just to, get in the way, I'm the type of person that will dispatch you very quickly. I told a friend yesterday about the guy where I was like, think really hard about what you're about to type. Think really hard. I showed it to some friends, and I described it to one of them because he was like, whoa, he wasn't critical of me, but he was just like, oh man, preemptive, And I said, yeah. I said, because this guy right here, if this was Gladiator, and I've got some real threats, and all I've got is this itty-bitty sword, like he had in Gladiator, and I've got some real threats coming my way, like a chariot or something like that, and then I see this dude literally wearing like a burlap sack with a wooden pitchfork just jump in and be like, hey, why are you talking? I'm literally going to grab them, throw them to the hungry lion that's chained to the wall, and keep my focus. I have no time for that. It's like, nope, I'm just throwing you to that angry lion over there, or tiger, or whatever it is. And then I'm going to keep my focus on the chariot coming at me. I got no time for your garbage. If you're not involved and weren't involved, you're not important by trying to. Anyway, yeah, so I just wanted to give you guys that kind of insight that, you know, running a social media channel, once negative engagement gets to a certain point, ignoring it and doing nothing is not an option. I know you guys would like it to be, but it's not. And it's unfortunate because, like I said, I don't go out there and attack people. The Repro Cops thing was a response to attacks. It's probably the only high-profile attack piece I've ever had to do, but it's not an attack piece because I didn't start the fight. It's a defense piece. It's defense through retaliatory offense is what that was. Would I have preferred not to have to do it? Absolutely. Would I have preferred that I just keep making my videos? Sure. You know, I haven't made any videos this week about any of this stuff. I've shared a few to support my comrades in social media. Absolutely. Because a friend doesn't say, I don't want to get involved. That's really important. I am loyal to the truth, and I'm loyal to objectivity, and I will support my friends who are being wronged every time. I don't sit back and go, well, you know, Tony, I really agree with what you're saying, and I really think, you know, that Mercy did you wrong, but I'm not going to share that video on my feed. I just don't want my subscribers getting mad. That is weak. And I've had it happen to me, and I've seen it happen to other people. And the same goes with Thomas. If it's something where I am indirectly or directly also involved, sure. I'm going to support my friends who have supported me through the sail barge garbage and the Repro Cops thing and all the horrible accusations that were not asked for. I'm going to leave you with this. You and your friend go to the movies. Or you go to Burger King. Let's make it even more pithy, all right? You go to Burger King for lunch. You've had your lunch. You're coming back. You're walking on the sidewalk, just chatting side by side. And then someone from a side alley jumps out of nowhere and punches you in the jaw. Just wham! And then runs off. And you're sitting there holding your jaw, right? Or we'll say your friend is the one who got hit. And your friend is the one that gets hit, and he's holding his jaw like, what just happened? If you look over at your friend and you're the type of person that says, God, man, there's just too much drama around you, and I'm sick of it, and I don't want to have anything to do with it, and I don't want to have anything to do with this. You're not really a friend. At best, you're a shitty friend. You're a fair weather friend. If that's your response, if that's your attitude. I'm saying you in the general. I don't mean you guys watching. I'm just talking, So I'm going to support my friends. If I know that they're not lying, and I would like to think that I've cultivated friends who are not liars. I've cast a lot of those people out of my life. I smell that real quick, and if they're not lying, they've been wronged or they're in a bad situation, yeah, I'm going to support them. I'm not going to sit around and worry about what a bunch of random people who are self-absorbed might get annoyed, because I'm just sick of you, making these. I wish you would just entertain me. I am. I'm working on cool stuff that's going to entertain a lot of people. I'm working on it right now. I got Final Faction coming out this week. That's going to be fun. I just got the Mandalorian Retro Collection figures. I'm going to do those. I'm scripting, Bionic 6 and all kinds of stuff. I got some great stuff coming up. I'm always going to be entertaining you guys to the best of my ability. And we've got more stuff with Tim Witten and I that's already in the can. That's where the benefit of the doubt comes in. If I'm dealing with something for a friend or for myself and it irritates you, keep scrolling. You don't have to engage. You're over there on that hill. You don't have to engage. And that's something that a lot of people on the internet need to learn. They need to take their own advice. Ignore it and let it go. But that advice only works on social media when it's not affecting you. See the irony there? If it's not affecting you and you're not involved, ignore it and just let it go. But don't tell someone it is affecting. Ignore it. Let it go. Well, why couldn't you have ignored it and let it go and shut up and never made that comment? I'm not taking sides. I think it's best to ignore it and let it go. Maybe then you shouldn't have opened your mouth and kept your mouth shut, because that would have actually been staying out of it, dumbass. But for the person that's been dragged into it, don't sit there and say, why are you always in so much drama? A lot of people don't ask for the drama that comes their way. Nobody asked for that guy to jump out of the alley and punch them in the jaw. They were just going to lunch with their friend. Think about that stuff. There's a lot of reversals going on here. A lot of hypocrisy, a lot of cognitive dissonance. Just food for thought. And I don't mean you guys think about it because you're doing it. I mean you guys think about it when you see it out there in the comment sections and stuff. A lot of you do, and you fight the good fight. But just be aware of it, because it is staggeringly hilarious in a sad way. It really is. All right, I'm going to go start writing Final Faction. It's going to be a fun little video. I can't wait to talk about these action figures because I have some important things to say about why they need to be talked about. And it has nothing to do with the toys themselves. But it does, but it doesn't. You'll see what I mean. All right, hope you guys enjoy my Ninjor starter kit. Again, upgrades for various versions of Storm Shadow are available. Operators are standing by. I'll talk to you later.